have to remember, Kat can disagree with us.
Oh, hello.
Oh yeah, and I can feel.
We can
And to
all
be honest, I'm
disagree.
actually
Oh,
actually. Wait.
Hello.
I'm actually
Hey,
listening.
Armin.
We also
Hi,
know how
Armin.
to speak in
Hi,
chat.
hi, hello,
Hi,
hello.
Norman.
Hi, how's everyone? Okay.
Hi.
Gee. Okay, what are you guys talking about? What is this conversation about? What is the topic?
I would say that one thing that I was just mid saying that I'm actually listening to the answers I'm getting. Don't think that I'm like fighting or disagreeing or anything. I'm listening to you guys.
So, Kat, your audio is I'm not understanding.
Again?
They're talking about the well, I don't think that they've seen the interviews with Trump
But we've seen the
and
interview.
also
We
with
just disagree
Bibi.
with you, Hulda.
Okay,
That was the
all right.
point, and you're just
So,
repeating
I
it.
guys,
I was
I, I
trying
think I
to
think
give my
I think
input.
everybody should speak at the same time. That would give the best amount like clarity if we just like all open our mic together.
Can,
I was simply trying to give my input. That's all.
Yeah.
no, but you're not, because this is the problem. Arguments do not consist of repeat yourself. So if you just say
You need
this
to
happened,
chill,
and
please.
we say no,
Okay.
it didn't, that's not an
I haven't
argument. You have to
spoken
actually
yet, so
defend
what's
it.
I
wrong?
can't repeat myself.
All right.
I haven't even
So-
spoken yet. I've tried.
Oh my god.
I
have
read
no
what
idea.
you wrote. It's what Armin did earlier. Like,
Right.
there's
I guess we're
Our-
going with I guess we're continuing with the strategy of everybody speaking at the same time. I think that's what we're continuing to go with, right? How about somebody who's not part of this, who's not opening the mic? Sketch, do you want to open your mic and tell us what's happening?
Okay, so you have two types of argument. You have the argument about the subject, and you have an argument about how it's being discussed. Apparently, there's an argument where you're just saying yes, and the other person is saying no. That seems to be a problem where you're just repeating, oh, no, well, I don't think so. Well, I don't think so. That's not much of a discussion. You're just repeating yourself. And then there's the type of argument where you put out points to why you defend X or Y.
But what
And
is
that
the
seems to be
topic?
a point of contention. The
What is
topic is whether the negotiations are going on, and I think it also relates to the strikes. Is negotiation an indication? Like the larger, you understand how Bibi and Trump are having a kerfuffle, and there was kerfuffles, like a disagreements around the time of Midnight Hammer, and I think it's more of an indication that there's a distraction going on for a larger operation. But there are people who are free to believe that there may be some serious discussions about a deal. And because this is not an echo chamber, we welcome all sides to this discussion. But I think those are the main points of the argument and the main points of how the points are being argued.
Okay, so Sketch, do you want to? I don't see any admins here. Do you want to mod? Do you want to basically manage? Let's talk.
I will keep an eye on the chat and read the rules. Okay, so if anybody's new, these are the rules. If you want a new topic, you put in a 1 and the title of the topic. Why do we do this? Well, Armin is running a live show and he likes to type in the title. And if we know ahead of the time, we can help him by typing that title in and getting ready for the discussion. Now, you can reply to any one of these topics by typing a 2. You type a 2 in the chat, and we know, hey, I want to respond to that topic, and we're going to make a list of what topics are to be discussed and who is responding to each topic. This is very important. Sometimes new people have a little bit of trouble with this. If you look on the side of the school app, there's going to be maybe at the top or bottom. I'm not sure how it works on the app on mobile, but you're going to see a window for the chat window. It is very important for the people that are here to pay attention to that chat window on their 1s and their 2s so they know when their turn is coming. Due to time constraints, some topics may be cut, some responses might not get in, but we will do our best so that your topics and your responses are stated and shared.
Oh my god, Sketch, you're an amazing mod. That's great. Okay.
It's a pleasure to be of service.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, before we go to the topics that people are putting in the chat, can we basically talk about this one that you guys were already like trying to finish that? Do you want to like give people the opportunity one by one to make their case regarding? Yeah.
Sure. So the topic is are negotiations leading to strikes or are negotiations leading to a deal? And I'm going to watch for twos in the chat. This is my first time modding, so be patient with me.
Okay.
I would also like your thoughts on this first, because usually that's the way we do it. You lay out the groundwork on your thoughts because of you have a little bit of deeper knowledge than we do on what your thoughts is. Are these talks leading to a deal, or are these talks leading to strikes?
So my honest answer is that we don't know, but if it's a deal, so going to be closer to a surrender deal, and whether we're going towards a deal or a strike, the Islamic Republic will not be surviving it one way or another, right? So whether we're going towards a strike or towards a deal, either way, it's going to be maximum damage on the Islamic Republic. It's not a deal for the survival of the regime, it's a deal for surrendering of the regime. And I don't know how long it takes, but both of these paths is basically leading to the same destination with two different strategies. And honestly, I don't think anybody knows which one of them we're going to be leaning towards. It depends on. I think the administration is open to going on both paths, depending on what happens on the ground. And I think they have made plans for both paths based on what happens. I think they have plans for going either direction. That's my take. Do you agree with that sketch, by the way?
Yes, I would say that they're too far between for any deal that's not a surrender deal. I don't even think they'd accept a surrender deal unless some people high office would like, yeah, make a deal where I get to move to France and you just declare these people not a real government. I don't know if they go that far into like a betrayal of the IRGC, but I don't see a deal, any other type of deal that would even come to pass.
Yeah. Okay. So, hey, Susie's here. Hi, Susie. So let's see what other people. Okay, we already have a list of responses. So who's first?
First to respond is Halda.
Halda.
Sketch, I just messaged you in chat. I thought that this discussion was good. This particular topic was going to be about what we were talking about before. So I'm withdrawing my 2 and I put in a 1.
Okay.
Understood. Next to respond is Samantha.
Yeah, so what I really think is I think that Trump really wants to sign a deal, like Art of the Deal wants to sign a deal, knows it's not, continuing the war is not popular in America. I think the Trump, like, he can't sign a deal with the sunset clause because he would feel too humiliated if he signed a deal with a sunset clause. So I don't think the Islamic Republic is going to be able to, like, give a deal that says that they will never enrich uranium again. So I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to stay kind of like landlocked with them trying to like discuss a deal. And I think essentially what's going to end up happening is we're just basically going to stay landlocked with them discussing negotiations until like either Trump's term runs out, or like we might have a similar situation to like what happened in Gaza, where Hamas didn't agree to Trump's full, plan, like whatever 20-part plan or whatever. They just agreed to like the first phase. Trump starts saying like, oh, see, they agreed to the full deal. And Israel was like, well, they agreed to the first part, which means we got our hostages back and we don't have to like let concrete in while they're still armed. So we're just going to like agree to it and let Trump, think Hamas agreed to, claim Hamas agreed to it so we can get our hostages back.
I would like to quickly interject. This was my interpretation of the argument, but the argument, it also centers around the leaks. My interpretation was about the significance of the leaks. Are the leaks a ploy to work towards bombing, a ploy to work towards a deal? That was my interpretation of it, but it may have been about the leaks themselves and the reason for them. Like, I would understand if I leak something, I'm going to pretend I didn't leak it. I'm going to act very angry that it leaked. Right? This is my interpretation, but we may be playing good cop, bad cop, which is what you said in your show. I apologize. But the argument was not just about will there be a deal or not, but that the relationship that may have among many to the leaks. So I apologize that I didn't include that in the topic.
Oh no, that's we need to talk. You're talking about the Axios leaks, right?
Yes, sir. Axios leaks.
Okay, yeah, we need to actually. I'll put a one in the chat because we need
Yes.
to also talk about that as a whole, because both President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu came and confirmed that it actually happened. So I mean, it could still be a fake, you know, fighting between them. So I just want to hear what you guys think about it. Oh, that is okay. I'll withdraw my one because Halda, that's Halda's topic. So that's already, we already have a one for that. Okay, so good. Let's go to the next person then.
This is speaking on a deal or no deal.
Yes.
Noah is next.
Noah.
So I think Trump does want a deal, but at the same time, the deal that he wants, the terms that he's wanting, the IRGC a lot can never agree to because they would be finished, but we all know they're going to be finished one way or the other. So I think it's at this time it's a surrender deal. So I would agree with what most people are saying at this point.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what you think about President Trump, okay, let's say, for example, this is not, 5D chess, or like he's being very, from a perspective of somebody who thinks that he's just making it up as he goes, right? At the end of the day, President Trump attacked the JCPOA, the Obama deal, to the point that any deal that resembles the Obama deal would be an obvious political defeat for President Trump. So he can't do a deal which the Islamic Republic can accept, because the Islamic Republic can only accept deals that are very much like the Obama deal, like the JCPOA deal. And not even that, by the way, but like it has to be at least up. And that those are the only deals that the Islamic Republic can accept without losing all legitimacy to their own followers are deals that President Trump can accept, because then he would lose legitimacy among his supporters. So that's why these red lines are so far away, and it's really hard to see how you could close that gap. And that's why a lot of people say, like, the only two options are not a deal, not even a surrender deal. The only two options is that we go back to kinetic military operations, or we'll just basically keep staying in this weird limbo dead zone for a long time. And if we do that, that is still in against the Islamic Republic, because remember, Mossad's outgoing chief of Mossad, is to call it the chief? What do they call him? Whatever they call him, the main head of Mossad, outgoing. He said his assessment shows, he based on his assessment, if we have two things, the blockade continues, and the deal, we have no deal with the regime, the Islamic Republic will fall in 7 months. So that is really good. So the only thing that I hope President Trump doesn't do, if we don't have a deal for the next 7 months, I hope that he doesn't remove the blockade on the Iranian ports. So he might do that, because that is a way to convince the Islamic Republic to let go of the Strait of Hormuz. But I hope he doesn't do that. We'll see. Okay, who's next?
Next to respond is Sophie. I think this topic leads well into the leaks, because this is why there would be maybe some friction. I think it's a good lead into the leak topic.
So I think once
I don't know. I don't have a response to this topic, so that's what I kept typing over and over. I literally
Okay.
was talking about something entirely different. So I have zero
That's fine.
to respond to this. I want to talk about the other.
I apologize, Sophie. I'm sorry.
So we will wait for we go to Halda put a one in the chat. Right after this, we'll go to the leaks topic, and then Sophie's two is in response to that. Correct? So
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's go to the other twos, and then we'll.
All right.
Oh my God, I don't have a two. Halda's one. I have a one.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
put it in the chat. I'll look at it. Thank you.
Thank
I apologize,
you,
Sophie. I think you're great. I'm sorry if I screwed up.
You're doing good, Ketch. You're doing great. Go. All right. Who's next then?
All right. Next to
I think he said, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Sorry. This is well regarding the Axios report. So there's
This is more
Axios.
about the deal, but
The
I
Axios
want to like
report is a
lead in
mixed
from one
topic.
to the other.
Oh,
Yeah.
then it'll be the next topic. Forgive me.
Okay. Rebecca, did you want to talk about the deal, or do we just go to the next topic? You're next.
Deal or no deal? Deal or attack?
Yeah, I kind of thought about, like, I thought it was like, yeah, it's like somewhere in the middle.
Okay, you know what, guys? Everybody seems to wanted to
All
talk
right.
about the
All right.
leaks. Let's go switch topic and then go to leak because like it seems like everybody's waiting
Okay.
for that topic. Yeah, okay.
New
So the
topic. Put your twos in for the leaks right now. Put all your twos in for the leak. We're starting a new leak topic, and put your twos in for that. Okay.
All right. You want to sketch just before we get people talking about that? We should tell people what happened. You want to give people a summary of what happened? So for
Now, there
people
were
who-
some leaks from Axios as to a discussion. Trump has confirmed that there is certain truth to this leaks. Now, there's 3 possible reasons that Armin and Goldie discussed. One of the possible reasons is a leak is like a leak hunt. You could be finding out, you put out something and then you try to find out who leaks it. Oh, that's the agency that reported it. Let's find out who's talking to that agency. That's the guy. That must be the leaker. 2 is we're playing good cop, bad cop, and they're both just pretending that this was a very, very serious argument, but it's actually just part of the the mind games that you would play, and you would be very angry about the league and trying to say, oh, this happens in all families, but that's just part of the mind games of good cop, bad cop. The third option is that there is some actual friction, and there are reasons for that friction. Those are the base 3 reasons that Armin and Goldie, if I'm not mistaken, that's the 3 that you discussed, right?
Yeah. So what happened is Axios came out and said that basically Trump told Netanyahu on a phone call, "You're fucking crazy." They say Trump was fuming at Netanyahu in a call about Lebanon, and Axios obviously is not a reliable source, so we're waiting to see if it gets confirmed or not. And there was an interview just recently, I played it on the show. President Trump came out and said, "Yes, I said that." I know apparently he also said to Prime Minister Netanyahu that the only reason why he's not in jail is because of him, and he said he wasn't angry when he said that to Netanyahu. He said that he was basically upset over the Lebanon issue. He wanted Netanyahu to stop attacking. He said Lebanon, but I think he meant Hezbollah. Attacking Hezbollah, and Netanyahu was continuing his attack, and he basically got upset over that. And Netanyahu also came out and confirmed it in another interview. Well, I mean, he didn't confirm it. He said, "I don't want to go over the details of what was said," but then he said, "Well, we have sometimes we're family, we're friends." Even he said, even if in family, sometimes you have like fights like this, but obviously we're friends and we have a lot of agreements. We have mostly agreements, and basically suggested that this was small, that not a big deal. And like Sketch said, so it seemed like they're both suggesting that it did happen. So given that it did happen, we were thinking maybe there's 2 possibilities, 3. One, that it was really aggressive and real. Another one, it was the tone wasn't that bad, maybe not that aggressive, maybe in a friendly way, like as friends talk to each other. Sometimes they use words like that, so maybe not a big deal that people are making a big deal out of. But the third one was maybe it was a planned fake leak of trying to basically continue what they have been doing before with the Islamic Republic, playing good cop, bad cop, and this fake fight is another way for them to continue playing that role. Israel being the bad cop, United States being the good cop. So these are the theories out there. So want to hear what you guys have to say. And then we have a super chat.
All right. First to respond is Jeff.
Sorry. So it kind of helps to when you're looking at this, to look at the broader context within which this is occurring. So this very much fits in the broader kind of context of the United States managing all these different moving parts. Iran, Hezbollah, our allies, both Israeli and Gulf states. Axios has broken several Trump Netanyahu call stories before, some tense ones in the past. They've been very checkered in their accuracy. The leak happened real quick. So it came like the day after, very quickly after the call. What's the pushbacks? So on our side, President Trump, he acknowledged being a little perturbed at Netanyahu over Lebanon, but emphasized that we still are working together. He claimed that he got Netanyahu to turn things around. The Israeli side got some pushback, as Armin mentioned. So, Prime Minister Netanyahu said, is calling parts of the call as it was reported by Axios as exaggerated or inaccurate, which I very much believe. and Bibi framed the call as kind of being more positive, mutually understanding on no unprovoked strikes and all this other stuff. So on the political side, I don't know what the hell's going on with my agenda. So U.S. conservatives that are hawks, Mark Levin, others, itself, are furious about the leak itself because of the operational security elements that it has to it, potential, calling it kind of a violation of federal law that helps the Mullah regime remnants, their Hezbollah proxies, and kind of pushing for an investigation who's leaking shit. Skeptics, some including some analysts, see as possible strategic leaking, which a lot of people have talked about. Either to pressure Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, which I don't believe, or to signal to the regime remnants that Trump has leverage over Israel, or to shape preconceptions or engage in strategic deception and denial like the crazy president strategy. It very much, like, what's the bottom line? It very much kind of comes off like classic high stakes Middle East diplomacy leaking out. President Trump's playing the tough guy who reins in the allies while pushing for deals, right? Because that's the narrative that people are picking up. Whether it was profanity or personal jabs, or exactly or that harsh is debated, but the core, President Trump and Israel having, not to de-escalate, they're just trying to coordinate their efforts because there's a lot of moving parts. That's probably real. That's kind of like where I see it shaking out. A lot of people don't know there's so much noise going on, and maybe that's the point, is to have so much noise. Because if we can't figure it out, neither can the enemy.
Awesome. Okay. Next. Who's next, Sketch?
Yes. Next on the list is Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you for being here.
I mean, I texted you a couple of things. Check it at some point, but unrelated. Okay, I have several things. First, like, this is why I was like not sure whether to say it now or before. About Trump, like, my philosophy with Trump was always the same since his first term to now, is that Trump, when people ask me, aren't you afraid that Trump would do this, do that? I would say Trump would try to do every mistake possible. The moment he sees it doesn't work, he'll try something else. And that makes him a completely different kind of animal from any other president that I've seen in the United States in my lifetime. Because they always double down. Trump is like, doesn't work, okay, fine, I'll do something else. And when he does that, it allows, nature to guide. Anyway, so when it comes to the call, I think here it's like, the problem is I don't think it flattered Trump at all. And he calling somebody who is in the Middle East crazy is a compliment anyway, but like, let's be realistic. It was like this, the only thing that he did, it was just like, oh my God, like, because everything, just so you know, like, like they're trying to minimize it, but they're devastated, like they're going through a lot. And that is like, and then you sell the narrative that this is when like Israel just like is tame. Thank you, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful message. And clearly I think that, okay, once that's out, and then you get your enemies emboldened, then Trump is like, okay, it's not working, I'll do something else. That's like that's my thoughts, actually. And funnily enough, luckily, the leaks were partial. So first it was leaked that Netanyahu, like first it was Trump saying that Netanyahu shouldn't do something in Lebanon. So what happens is that the anti-Bibi camp inside of Israel, they switch between a couple of narratives. So it depends on the occasion or the options. And usually if it's a fallout or something between Trump and Netanyahu, there are two narratives. One is Bibi is a puppet and cannot finish the job. Or the second one, which is the preferred one, because that way it's like easier to manipulate, is that thanks to Bibi, we have ruined our relationship with the United States, and it's going to go like we're going to have no partners, and we're like the foreign relationship that we have is like this doesn't exist, blah, blah, blah. But this time, because Trump went ahead and was like, okay, Bibi is not going to go to Beirut, all the anti-Bibi, which are the left here mostly, started saying, okay, Bibi is not finishing the job in Lebanon. We're not doing, he's a puppet. He does whatever Trump tells him to do. Israeli life is at risk. Our soldiers are at risk because Bibi cannot tell Trump no. And then they already went with that narrative. And only after that, it was that like there was also a back and forth. So, the only thing that came out of it is that everybody agrees. That's it.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Rebecca. That's interesting. I'm glad that we have so many people talking about the internal politics of Israel with us, because that's the part that a lot of people are missing. So I do appreciate that. I don't understand though how, like, when you can you, before we go to the next person, like when you say like the part that people are using against Netanyahu more is in Israel is that he's ruining our relationship with United States, because I was under the impression that the main attack on Netanyahu is that, oh, he's letting President Trump just walk all over him and control him. Well, I mean, which one is it?
Oh,
Because
well,
these two seem to be contradictory. Like,
are you not familiar with the left, Armin?
oh yeah, okay. And wait, are they are they the left? Because a lot of the attacks are coming from not really left leaning people in Israel against Netanyahu. Some of them.
It's Israeli left. So the way you define left is by recognizing which party has inconsistency, contradictory narrative, and it's more about grabbing power than an actual like.
Oh, so your
coherent
definition.
ideology.
Okay, so you have a different definition for it. But what would you
I
say
mean,
to somebody who says that to you? Then that, okay, so left is basically everyone's opinion that you don't like. You then categorize them as left. If you don't like their opinion.
well, it's well, it's not because it doesn't work with inconsistency, because like I like their opinion when it fits my opinion. When they choose the narrative I like, for example, when they said that Bibi is Trump's puppet and that we're not going hard enough on Lebanon, I was like on 100%. Like you see that the right and left share the narrative. In that case specifically, I was like, yes, I agree 100%, And then if they choose a different narrative, this is when I disagree with them, but they change the narrative. So okay. Sometimes I agree with them, sometimes I don't.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the sketch. Let's go to the next topic. Sketch. Am I Sketch, your
I'm
mic is
sorry.
open.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have like a double mute. Like I have one on the mic and I have one
Oh,
on the bottom
yeah,
over here of the stage.
same. I have the same problem sometimes. Yeah.
Okay,
By
so
the way,
I would
and
like.
also between topics, I have some super chats between topics. But let's go to the next response.
Okay, the next response was Jose. We had a lot of this is like the heated debate that they had before we got here. So I wanted to everyone to air their feelings out. Just put your reply. It's also the top story today, so I thought it was worth discussing. As passionate as these people are about it, I think it's good also to let them get everything off their chest, and we get some passionate views on this. So I wanted Jose to reply next, if that's possible.
Yeah, sounds good. And feel free to
Yeah,
jump
that's
in,
fine.
Jose, every time. Okay, go on.
No, that's fine. That's fine. The leak. You know, Axios has had almost 75 to 80% of all the leaks that has come out. So I'm wondering if it's true to call it a leak, or are they just throwing darts at a board to see what hits? Okay. And when I see Axios come up anywhere, I immediately think of, oh yeah, Axios. They reported that the Abraham Lincoln was sunk 3 times. Okay, when yeah, they did. Yeah, one after another. I immediately took that off my feed as soon as I saw that, because I'm going, this is bullshit. So I did that. But now, as far as what the argument was, I got blood relatives of mine that'll sit down and talk about Cuba. I know it's not Iran, but talk about, or Israel, USA. We'll talk about Cuba, and we each, all 7 of us, have a different opinion of what Trump should do. Okay, we're still family. We still love each other. We still greet each other with hugs. You know, but it's literally speaking, it's a spat between 2 brothers. The issue, as far as I'm concerned, yes, they do have a leak problem. Axios, like I said, has way more leaks than anybody else. So there's something going on there. And I think it might be a trap to try to get who the informant is.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Next
Also,
response we have.
Sketch. This is just a really yes or no. Like, if these are real leaks, that's illegal, right? Like, right?
Oh
These are
yeah.
all- Okay.
If these are private conversations, that's another reason, that's another layer, right? Because usually if a leak, and this would be an important leak about a very private top level conversation, like you would be hearing about, we're calling the Justice Department, we're going to arrest these people, we have had people being arrested. So if you want to add another layer to this, might be a show or a fake leak, well, it's a real leak, but this might be a show. There's the whole other level that leaks like this usually get prosecuted, and no one is talking about prosecution usually. Like last time with Hexeth, when there was a leak over there, that got prosecuted. They some people had to resign. Like it was a big deal. They're not treating this the same way, which is why some people are thinking it's mind games. We're just, but that's just my opinion. That I will put that as my 2 on all this.
Okay. All right. Who's next?
Next to response, we have.
Wait. Don't
Hello.
close your. Oh, go ahead. Hulda, go ahead.
Hi, all. I just wanted to give my perspective after watching the 2 interviews. Because I really like to watch how people are communicating. I think it's important. And I observed a couple, I thought, very important things. And the first one was when Trump was talking about how he had said, whatever it was that he supposedly said, he leaned forward a little bit. Typically when people lean forward like that, they're deliberately trying to be, believable, if you will. And I found that kind of interesting. And what I really found interesting was when Bibi was responding to, we talk like that, that's just, family. If you really watched his eyes, in his mouth, I mean, he was being sincere. That was truly sincere response. And I thought that was important, when we are considering how they are literally communicating together, because I think it would be wrong of us to think that two leaders do not fight. It just doesn't even make sense. It'd be like, when do siblings, there's typically disagreements. But the point of the fact is, I think that those leaks could very well have worked in their favor, regardless if they were intentional or not. I'm talking about trying to undermine, the IRGC at this point, because I feel that their responses, the way they're handling this situation, the leaks, it all sort of plays into that whole disorganization that we're seeing from the IRGC. And I think it further decimates that fragile foundation that they're standing on. And that's about all I had to say.
Okay.
All right. With that, we would close the topic. I would like to ask if you need a little time for some super chats.
Yes, I'll do quickly the super chats. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Danny saying Trump Lebanon policy emboldened IRGC immensely. What do you guys think of what do you guys think about that? Danny saying Trump Lebanon policy emboldened IRGC immensely.
Wow, I don't know how much they can do with their emboldenment. I mean, what you can do with what you get is its practical effect. Like, what is IRGC literally gaining from these statements? I don't know. I would invite anybody that knows more about this than me, because we're talking about a lot about a political discussion, but what is the tangible effects of it? I think that is, something worth considering when we have all these talks about what's being said.
Also, if it did embolden them, and this is a good cop, bad cop trick, then we want this to embolden them because it means that it's working. If it
Yes,
is,
yes, that's very true. If this leads to them striking, this is called bait and bleed. If our rhetoric makes them attack, and we get to make a response that's exactly the way we want it to respond, and hurts them a lot more than it hurts us, then yes, it would be a tangible effect that is good.
Yeah. Okay, and I said Jeffrey wanted to respond to this as well. Jeffrey.
Yeah, so also, like, Sketch, you're doing an amazing job and awesome on the reference of bait and bleed. So we might want to do that while also minimizing the potential impact. So it's clear that the Mullah regime and their Hezbollah proxies are operationalizing what they learned from Ukraine's asymmetric strategy against Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, right? Everybody's watching competitive adaptation. And so there's certain things we have to do to try and defend our base. And so that's almost assuredly one of the things we're taking into account while we're trying to maneuver and manage all these different moving parts. There's a difference between, say, setting up defenses like THAAD and Patriot and all that, and Arrow 3s and the rest of it, to shoot down ballistic missiles, long-range cruise missiles, and Shahed drones that are fired from inside Iran, versus shorter-range drones that are being used to launch against Israel from southern Lebanon, or indeed our bases that are more closely co-located. So we have a lot of good defenses regarding one thing. We have some defenses on others, and those things are always moving parts. So we're trying to coordinate all our efforts and best deal with all of that. What's all that say? It says that those are things you have to manage if you're trying to do that. Ideally, you'd want to have an attack that the bad guys do to create a pretext for us to then restart stuff, right? If that's the goal, while minimizing the impact of that attack so it doesn't undermine our ability to respond.
Okay, and then the next super chat is by Fleshy Interloper saying left can hold multiple contradictory views. Okay, and then we have another. Thank you, Fleshy Interloper. And then we have another super chat by Danny. Thank you so much, Danny. Danny saying left in Israel willing to make coalition with Arabs. Yes, they did do that, and this is why Prime Minister Netanyahu was forced to work with some parties that a lot of people criticize him for, because working with those other parties would have been the end of Israel, because it would basically lead to a path towards a two-state solution. And thank you, Danny, for the super chat. All right, so what is the next topic?
Yes, the next topic is coming from Jose, and we're talking about Japan.
All right, what about Japan? Jose, go ahead. Is Jose here? Oh yeah, I see him here. Jose?
Yes, he was here a second ago. Jose, come back to us,
Jose,
please.
please come
We
back.
could save his turn and go with Richard, who also had a topic, and let Jose go after, if that's okay.
All right, sounds good.
Richard,
And Jose, when you come back, let us know when you're back. Okay, Richard. Hi, Richard. What's this topic, by the way?
Hi. So this was something I don't think you covered on the Iran Revolution Live, but Fox News is reporting that there's a tech CEO in California that this morning under the International Emergency Economic Act, which is basically sanctions evasions. They're charging him with evading Iranian sanctions, $15 million, basically falsely claimed as an inheritance, and is used it in consideration for providing sensitive encryption information to the Iranian Atomic Energy Commission, so basically the IRGC nuclear military wing. That's all. I can give you the link, but there's not much being reported. I'm guessing he was charged by indictment, so it's likely sealed. We'll probably get more information, once it actually gets before the courts. But I wanted to see if you wanted to bring that to the group and see if anyone wanted to discuss that.
Well, I mean, I didn't know about this. I'm looking this up, but Jeff wanted to respond to this. So while I look this up, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Jeff, what do you know about this?
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's a super important topic. So, and I'm probably going to mispronounce the name, Jamshid Gomi, dual U.S. Iranian national. He's a tech CEO, if I remember correctly, from Newport Coast, Orange County, California. Co-founder of Faraz Pardaz Renea Co. It's a Tehran-based computer networking company. So the charges, very aptly so, is that he violated the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Basically a massive decade-long sanctions evasion scheme in support of the Mullah regime. He was busted from smuggling about 250 metric tons of equipment using front companies and falsified docks and intermediary places like Dubai. Go figure. He very much laundered like over 10 million, maybe 15 million in the proceeds back to the United States. He used the money to build mansions in Newport Coast. So what's the issue? Like, how does this, shake out? The Mullah regime and nuclear sectors in the Mullah regime's nuclear program, very much heavily intertwined with the IRGC, which is a terrorist organization. Supplying dual-use tech like this very much aids them in what they're doing. So the national security export control angle is it illustrates in no uncertain detail how regime networks exploit U.S. tech hubs in California, dual nationals living the good life in OC while funneling all this shit back to the regime. It's also why the lesser kinetic lines of effort does things like link analysis. The timing drops right in the middle of U.S. regime conflict. The conversation between President Trump and Israeli Benjamin Netanyahu, and broader effects to squeeze all of the regime's remaining programs. So what's the broad issue? This isn't isolated. right? There have been multiple similar cases like this, earlier ones involving IRGC drone tech, and it very much highlights the vulnerabilities in sanction enforcement, particularly when you have guys who have a lot of money and you have a lot of whores who are willing to take that money. From a MAGA and or like, a decisive center right perspective, it very much illustrates why we need to stop our tech from arming our adversaries. We should be seizing assets, including things from the IRGC, which I'd love if the UK did that with the IRGC mansions in London, and going after elite douchebags that try to play both sides because they need to stop betraying America. Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
Get better, Jeff. Hold on. Okay, so I actually let me just give you a quick. I have a suspicion about what leads to, because we've seen arrests like this. We saw another woman. I think she was also in California recently being arrested for working with the Islamic Republic. That was like a big deal as well. So and now we see this, like an Iranian woman, and now this man. So quickly, his name is it. So before I read the summary of all the points on this, Jeffrey, do you think this is because the reason, because these people were working in the United States right under, the right in the US, right next to all this intelligence? It's amazing that they managed to do all of this for so many years in the United States, right? Without getting detected. Is it possible that the reason why they're getting caught is because of the UAE now giving information, sharing information with the United States after the attacks by the Islamic Republic to the UAE, and now the United States has access to a lot of information that manages to catch these people? Is that the reason?
Almost assuredly one contributing factor. I mean, the broader thing is these networks are fucking everywhere. I mean, there's a reason. And the after show, Ollie's after show, I kind of posted a question I asked to Frank Gaffney at the Heritage Foundation in 2015 when they were doing a panel as Frank Gaffney and Claire Lopez and some of the people Brigitte Gabriel, the impact on the Muslim Brotherhood's strategic information influence operations and what that means operationally. I mean, you're now seeing, not that they're tied to the Muslim Brotherhood, I'm just saying the idea of these hostile actors developing these networks everywhere, and they use a lot of our own freedoms and laws against us. They do, there's no doubt about it. Never, and add to that, you're in an environment or an area that's left-leaning, that's already, ideologically co-aligned. That's a serious fucking problem. These people got to go, right? This isn't a one-off, unfortunately.
Right. So quickly going through what happened. So his name is Jamshid Qomi, 63 years old, a dual USA-Iranian citizen living in Orange County, California. He was arrested by federal authorities for violating U.S. sanctions. He faces major prison time. So for over a decade, he bought high-end U.S. computer networking, security, and encryption hardware. He smuggled the tech directly to Iran's to the Islamic Republic's military and nuclear establishments. What the hell? How did he manage to do all of that for a decade? He hid his identity using front companies in Dubai, and secretly labeled Iran as motherland in messages. It's interesting. By the way, guys, this is why I have it's hard to have sympathy for the UAE right now, because they were involved in a lot of the stuff that is happening to them right now is because of the I mean, it's interesting. A lot of the drones that are being drones and missiles that are being used to attack the UAE is being funded by the very loopholes they provided with the Islamic Republic. I do have sympathy for the people in the UAE. Just don't get me wrong about that. Like, I just saying, like, when it comes to the people within the government there, I don't have sympathy for them. But obviously, we have all the the elites, the corrupt elites there. So yeah, and then yes, let me see. He called motherland, and so he laundered $15 million in illegal profits back into the United States, lying to the IRS by calling it foreign inheritance. He used the cash to build a $35 million luxury mansion in Newport Coast. The U.S. government has officially begun the legal process to seize his mansion as well. Okay. All right. I saw Sketch. What are we doing next? There are people.
I wanted to respond on this topic. The UAE was kind of functioning as a banker, right?
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, they did a lot of the banking for them. And I mean, attacking your banker with like drones and missiles is a terrible idea because if
Yeah.
someone knows your secrets, it's your banker, right? If someone can give anyone the permission to freeze your assets, hey, I found this stuff that belongs to the people that, were kind of bombing me. So I understand that they kind of get what they, deserve basically for having these sort of troubles because they were fostering and helping this regime. And this might have been a earlier policy. If I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, like the best possible angle is like, hey, we were doing this before, we have realized that was a terrible idea, we're going to change. That's a welcome change. But if these networks of funding, if the UAE is now opening up all the books and showing everywhere where the money is going, this could be crucial in us finding them not just in America, but everywhere on earth. It might help us link them to China, help us link them to, well, not to the Chinese, Chinese communists. We love Chinese people, to Putin's criminal spy network, right? Not Russians. Russians, great people. Putin's criminal spy network. Maybe we could, get with finding who those people are involved, their companies, right? So I think this is not just good for that. Also, I would like to mention that it might be through these kinds of banking that Venezuela had their spy network through the Chinese help, just like Iran had its spy network on the people and their cameras and their identification things from China. So all these types of deals might have run through these banking networks, and opening these banking networks to discovery, to prosecution is a fantastic thing. If that's great intel, and I think it's great.
Amazing take, Sketch. Thank you for that. All right.
All right. I wanted to touch on a topic that's more about live streaming this. This I would like to know your input on this very quick.
Before we go, if we're switching topics, I think I saw Shauna put a 2 in the chat as well.
I am sorry. Go ahead,
No.
Shauna.
Just really quick. I also wanted to point out, if Sketch is right, if the UAE was acting as a banker, that could explain why there was disputes in the regime about attacking the UAE or not, because there was always this back and forth. So it sounds like some members of the IRGC knew about the banking situation, and perhaps some of the more radical people either didn't know or they just didn't give a fuck. So
yeah, no, that you're so correct. And this is why, I think a whole bunch of people in the IRGC were pulling their hair out. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, how are we going to pay for missiles and drones if we don't have the UAE to be able to bypass the sanctions? You're very correct about that, Shana. The thing, however, the thing is that that's why we can't call the people that were doing this more radical, because I consider the people who are actually pulling their hair out, they are the more radical ones. Okay, they're just more effective at their radicalism, right? So it's not like the people who are understanding that you shouldn't be attacking the UAE. It's not that they're more radical, they're less radical. It's just that they're just more efficient because they want the missiles and
they're less inbred. They're less inbred, is what you're telling.
Yes, exactly. There you go. That's a good summary. Okay. So, yeah, who are we? Go on, Sketch. You wanted to introduce a new topic?
I just want to have like a I don't know if other mods have spoken about this. I don't know what the rule is, but sometimes we get passionate about an argument, and sometimes that argument continues in the chat. I would just like to remind everyone that's on this discussion that outside of this discussion, everything we're saying on that chat is being displayed. So we want members to I wouldn't say I would constrict or restrict what you talk about, but try to be graceful with the people you're talking with and about, and try to understand that we all make mistakes. We're all human. We try to be tactful. Try to be cognizant. If a person is not here, let them come back. Let them express themselves. All right, because how we appear on this side chat is how we are appearing to the world, right? And I don't want anyone, I want to talk about myself. I would not like to, and maybe I've done this without knowing it. And if I do it, you guys tell me, hey, Sketch, you're doing the thing you said not to do. I don't want to turn into a very angry about a point thing, or gossipy, or not gossipy. I think it would be a resentful person about someone. Just try to remember, we are showing everyone in the world what's going on in this chat. You got to be very cognizant of that. And we don't want the Iranian people that might see this to see these arguments in chat. We want to show the people that we're all using our brains as hard as we can, even if we have different points of view, that we're working hard to help them, to help the people in China, to help the people in Russia, to help the people in Ukraine, to help the people in Iran, to help the people in USA, all right, in Europe, that this is where our focus and where our hearts are. So just, I know, like, when you're in a chat, you get stuck on your subject and you forget that the rest of the world exists. And this has happened to me. It can happen to anyone. And I just want everybody to feel welcome. And I this is my first time as a mod, and I may be completely screwing it up, but it just breaks my heart to see you guys fighting in the chat, because I love all of you. So please try to get along. I love you all. I'm giving you big kisses. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Oh my God, Sketch! I thought I love you before I did. You're amazing. This is I've never seen this side of Sketch before. This is great. I love it.
I can be sweet. I could be sweet, you know. Oh, but
wow.
you can still my little rants about Israel funding and put that angry side out too.
That's good. Like, this is great. Okay. No, you're doing amazing, Sketch. You're an amazing mod. Okay. I didn't know why we didn't do this earlier, actually. So this is great. Okay. All right. Okay.
Next
guys,
topic we have is Jose talking about Japan, or do we do super chats?
No, we do. We
One
don't have
second,
any
Jose.
super chat. We don't have any super chats.
Okay.
So let's switch up Japan.
All right, Jose, talk to him.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Just want to check because my phone said that my mic was off and then it wasn't on. Then it is, or whatever. It's the app on the phone. Okay, when Joseph brought up what Japan was doing in the Far East yesterday, I thought that you guys might appreciate a little bit more backup of what's happening in Japan, and why the Muslims are most likely there, because they don't. I know we talk about them being Durka, but there has to be somebody with a brain because they figured this out. Okay, age demographics. The current population structure approximately in Japan is 11% or 14 and under, 59% between 15 and 64, 20 to 39% are 65 plus. Japan has the oldest population in the world. Median age is 50 years. People 65 plus is 30% of the population. Only 1 in 9 people are children. The big issue that they have is that about their total of 1 out of every 3 people is elderly, and they have a very tiny younger generation. Therefore, their workflow is shrinking. It's exactly the same thing that's happening all over Europe, and why they thought they needed to bring all the people in. And then they have a key driver to low births, 1.2 to 1.2 children per woman. And in order to have stability, they need 2.1 children per woman. So the big picture is simple. Too few births, too many deaths, aging population, and a very old population structure. They're losing between 800 and 900,000 people a year. They're burying or burning or whatever. The elderly share a rising, the elderly population is, they're expected to hit 35% by 2040. And elderly is anybody over 65. And the simple summary, Japan is shrinking not because the people are leaving, but because they're not having enough children and people are living longer. That results in a rapidly aging, declining population. Why it matters? Well, they're being invaded, as we all know. They're trying to do something about it. It's not working too well for them. And then just a little military note for them. Japan's Navy is a pretty modernized fleet, made up mainly of destroyers, submarines, and a lot of specialized vessels. It's weird because their two aircraft carriers are light carriers, used to be called anti-submarine destroyers because they had carriers on the deck, so you could have aircraft on the deck. Now that they're turning into a more like the old Imperial Japanese Navy, they're now calling them light aircraft carriers. So this is an idea of the mindset of what they're thinking about with alliances to South Korea, the Philippines, Taiwan, the United States, and then India, Australia, Cambodia. It's unsure if they're even talking to Vietnam or not, but there is a possibility that they will talk to Vietnam because communist or not, they have to be aware that the system, the things are changing in China. So just a little bit more information to give you an idea of what's going on. That's all.
So wait, what's the Muslim angle in Japan? You were also mentioned talking about that.
They're being invaded just the same as Europe.
Isn't the population, Muslim population in Japan like very, very, very small?
It's getting small because they're doing something about it. There's been, the Japanese don't really talk too much about the problems they have in their country. Okay. They're the type of people that as long as you're quiet on the subway, you're good. You start yelling Allah Akbar on the subway, every one of them is going to turn at you and you're going to be thrown off the train. Okay. It's their culture that's being assaulted. And they're getting the same stuff that they're getting in Europe from the Muslim population that's growing there. Bangladesh population that's going there. So just an update on what's happening in the rest of the world and maybe why they're thinking that they need to solidify. I also posted a video on the group chat. It's called Japan Working on 5 New Weapons. Most of them are remote control or drone, including they're working on with the United States, they're working on a missile that there's hope will be able to intercept supersonic missiles coming from China and North Korea, who are currently firing sample missiles, test missiles, over the Japanese islands.
All right, Shauna. Shauna.
Yeah, just to add to that, Japan not only has an aging population, they also have an issue with what they desperately do need is breeding stock. And I know that sounds like a crude way to say it, but the problem that Japan has is that they are functionally an ethno state. I mean, and so bringing new people in is a challenge for them. Mixed people are very visibly mixed. They're very physically identifiable because they're not Japanese. And they also have some of the same attacks because they're co-aligned with the West. They receive some of the same attacks that the West receives of being colonialism. Now, of course, every nation on earth has some kind of historical colonial tie, whatever. People conquered each other. But they do have an indigenous population. The majority of the Japanese groups are descendants of the male migrations that basically took over and co-populated with Native women. Maybe it happened violently, maybe it happened peacefully, whatever it happened, there's the two native population. There's a completely indigenous population, and then there's the rest of the Japanese. They are heavily related, but they're not identical. my point is that they are going to receive the same criticism the West does. And they also have this aging population and they need to bring in new people, but that's challenging culturally. So that is one of the factors. Oh, and then the third point that I wanted to make sure I brought up is American expats are going there as well. So there's a lot of American expat families that are starting to live there. Now, the Americans are pretty chill with them because the Americans that go there are assimilating to Japanese culture. But it is a thing that's happening. So just adding to the data.
Okay. And I think it's me, right? Okay, I'll just
Yes, you have to.
Okay, thank you. So just wanted to look at some data, and again, this is what I'm reading. If it's phrased in a way that you guys don't agree with, just like I'm just looking at what I'm seeing here. So we have Japan's population Muslim population in Japan is growing. Japan's Muslim population has roughly doubled in recent years to an estimated 420,000. So that's about 0.3% of the total population. So it's doubled. It's still not 1%, but that's double where it used to be. And over 90% are foreign nationals filling vital roles in industries like manufacturing and construction. Japan also actively promotes Muslim-friendly tourism to boost its economy. Oh, I saw that there were some ads in Japan trying to get Muslims to come to Japan, and some Japanese were really angry about those ads. So here, let me read this. I think there are localized cultural frictions, mostly concerning practical issues like establishing Islamic burial grounds. Japan strictly relies on cremation and halal school meals. Recent reports from early June 2026 highlight a noticeable rise in anti-Muslim harassment and abusive calls to local mosques. Researchers emphasize that this anxiety is largely fueled by viral social media rumors and fake news rather than actual daily conflicts. That's what they're saying in Japan. So, and then we have so this is what their media is saying about it. Okay, which sounds like maybe people who are concerned are being meant to feel like they're bigots or something. That's what it sounds like. But then also regarding the dying population in Japan, so the population is shrinking rapidly, and as of June 2026, this is what the numbers are like. So Japan recorded a record low birth, 671,000 births. This is record low compared to roughly 1.58 million deaths. So high living costs, demanding work cultures, and stagnant wages and low migrations makes starting a family incredibly difficult for young generations. There is a lot of talk where if AI and robotics can help with this, but some people are saying like it's not going to be fast enough. So there's a lot of talks about like maybe the AI advancements and robotics will be able to help save Japan from this crisis. And also with regards to the military aspect of it when it comes to Japan, with recent reports, like updates that we have from Japan, is that Japan is more and more leaning into relying on an agile group like Squad to coordinate regional defense. So a lot of countries are involved in this, including United States, Australia, and Philippines. So I don't know how to pronounce the prime minister's name. I think Sana Takaichi, is that her name? And just recently, she and the Philippine president had basically Marcos Jr. upgraded their relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership, heavily integrating their defense forces. And then during the they had recent exercises recently, Japanese missiles were fired from Philippine soil for the first time since World War II, signaling a major strategic shift. So it seems like Philippines is a major part of Japan's defense, strategy, and they're cooperating with them. I remember they're also cooperating with some other countries around the region as well, creating like not like NATO, but more like Squad. But like I think there's a whole bunch of countries that are not cooperating with under Japan's leadership. So that's a big thing. Also, there is a huge talk in Japan regarding their constitution, changing the constitution to allow for a more aggressive military rather than just being defensive. And we have a Japanese defense minister rejected Beijing's accusations of militarism. I mean, the fact that there is an accusation is good. It shows that Japan is actually becoming more aggressive. By the way, Japan came out recently and basically said that if China wants to take over Taiwan, they would respond militarily, which is a big deal that Japan said that. And Japan was also reported to have been disappointed when China attacked Japan in response to that. The United States didn't really come out and say much in defense of Japan. So there was some disappointment in Japan regarding the US's lack of response. So let me see. Japanese defense minister publicly. Yeah, I already read that. Also, here's Japan's pacifist constitution severely restricts its ability to legally bind itself to fight in any other country's war. Major regional powers like India, as well as many of ASEAN nations, refuse to join a rigid anti-China bloc because they want to maintain their massive trade ties with Beijing. So these are all we know about the recent Japan updates when it comes to their military strategy, their migration, and also their aging population. All right, Sketch, you want to go next?
Yes, I would also like to add that report, even you noticed yourself that they're trying to make the people feel like they're racist about this, about having a doubling in a foreign population that has a very, how shall we say, incongruent culture, right? So they have started to ask for more rights and all this. And I would like to also add that this was a big reason that Takaishi won. This is very political. They have their left and they have their right. They have their version of the Democrats and they have the version of the Republicans. Their version of the Republicans, which is more in line with us and with this Indo-Asian alliance against China, they are the ones that are being accused of racism and all this stuff. And their side of the Democrats are the ones that want infinite immigration. So when you look at what's going on in Japan, what they're trying to fight off is trying to become the next UK. Right. So that is like if you look at it numerically, you're like, oh my God, this is an exaggeration. But they know that this is how the door opens. And once it's open, it's hard to close. So they're trying to shut this down now and get away from this culture of infinite immigration, because they know that once these people are in the system and they start to get a right to vote, they'll have an outside population voting as a bloc against what they want to do. And I'm not trying to play favorites here, but Takaishi and her side, the kind of like the more conservative side, seem to be more against Iran, against China, against Russia, against their influence. And they don't hate each other. Like they're much closer than we are to China. But and I also mean economically. But they're trying to be defensive about China, and they're trying to be cognizant of this influx population. This is very political in Japan. This is, I would say, one of the main reasons that she won not only her election, but the snap elections. They had a snap election over a lot of their districts, and their district had great gains in all regions. Like her party or that side of the aisle had a lot of great gains in that snap elections, and this immigration thing had a lot to do with it. Also, the Indo-Pacific, Asia-Pacific, Indo-Pacific unity against the Chinese fleets. So I would add that there's a political context that gets lost when we look at the pure numbers.
Can I just Oh, just can I just add that on social media, what they're probably referring to is there's social media people like Islamic influencers who are basically complaining that Japan is racist because they don't have halal options. Japan is a pork eating people. That is their primary source of protein, has been for thousands of years. So Muslims can cry or get out.
Okay, but that's the same thing about the UK was pork eating before it happened to them. Like, just because you're pork eating, it doesn't mean that that you're not going to have a growing Muslim population. UK was pork eating before they had this. I mean, they're still pork eating. But like, I actually looked this up. The UK was at 0.03% Muslim population at 1951, so 75 years ago, right? So 75 years ago is not that much of that long. So for Japan, like, I think Japan should be concerned, because 75 years is nothing for you to lose an entire country to this level of Muslim takeover. So I'm assuming that it will take much, like in this day and age, with the level of migration that we have, for Japan, it could take a lot less time than 75 years to get to this level. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, somebody's saying exactly, Armin. And it's being removed in the UK. Yeah. All right. So, because guys, here's the thing: once you get just a little bit of a Muslim population there, then the people who benefit, you will have a voting block, and whoever benefits from bringing in a voting block, that will vote for the people who brought them in, so that they could be more powerful to vote for more of them to come. It becomes a circular, like it becomes like a self-feeding, politicians voting for more people in to get the votes for to vote in the politicians who would let more people in, right? So you just need to get to, like, I don't know, 1% or whatever, and that ball, like, that snowball will start rolling like really, really fast. So you need to be very careful with that. All right, so what are we doing? Are we going to the next topic?
I think you have the next topic. I don't know if you have any super chats.
No, and there's no super chats. So let's go to the next topic. I want us to talk about what the fuck just happened last night a little bit. I wanted to see what you guys think about that. The Islamic Republic just went crazy with the attacks on, where was, like, the Kuwait, Bahrain, what else was it? I thought it was UAE, but then it came out that maybe it wasn't UAE. Let me see. Did you? I think, like, we didn't. It happened after we had our discussion group yesterday, so we didn't get to a chance to talk about it at all. Like, do you guys have any? I mean, I know we already had stuff like this during the ceasefire, but this was the biggest one yet. Yeah, it was Kuwait and Bahrain mostly. And we had sirens in, I think we had sirens in Saudi Arabia. So the Islamic Republic launched a wave of overnight missiles and drone strikes targeting Kuwait and Bahrain, breaking a shaky regional ceasefire. This is why we keep calling this the least ceasefire of this in the history of ceasefires. So the Kuwait International Airport was hit by a drone attack, severely damaging Terminal 1 and temporarily halting flights. I saw the video from that, by the way. It was crazy. Like, I don't know, these people really rely on tourism. I don't know who on earth is now going to these countries, right? And then we had casualty. One person was killed and 63 others were injured, mostly by falling missile debris and shrapnel. So I think all of the missiles and drones were intercepted. But apparently shrapnels and debris still injured and killed somebody. And Kuwait immediately, Kuwait, by the way, expelled 2 of the Iranian regime diplomats in response. I'm wondering why the fuck you still had them there. You know, that was crazy, because you already got some attacks from them. It's weird that you even had them there. Then we had attacks on Bahrain. The IRGC claimed it targeted the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters. And Bahraini air defense successfully intercepted 3 missiles and several drones before they could strike civilian infrastructure. So the Islamic Republic is saying they stated that the strikes were payback for recent U.S. military airstrikes on Qeshm, and U.S. basically says that that was self-defense. Qeshm Island, and a commercial vessel, which I don't know what they're referring to there. But what happened earlier was that what the Islamic Republic is not telling you is that United States was actually attacking Qeshm Island because the Islamic Republic was attacking some commercial ships. The reason why Islamic Republic was attacking some commercial ships is because they were talking to the Americans and arranging with the Americans for going through the Strait of Hormuz rather than with the IRGC. And the IRGC were like, no, you don't. They tried to attack them, and the United States responded by, bombing Qeshm. So Tehran justified striking Kuwait and Bahrain because they host U.S. military bases, warning that any nation allowing the U.S. to use its airspace or territory will be held directly responsible. Any thoughts on this, guys? Like, I want to hear your take because, Sketch, Jeffrey, anyone else? Sketch.
Next to reply is Samantha.
Oh, Samantha. There you go.
I was gonna say, yeah, so even though like Hajj is technically over because so many people come to Saudi Arabia, like people have to start showing up a couple days, like, ahead of time, because it takes like a couple days of people showing up, and then people start like leaving over the course of a couple days. So there's still like plenty, like, still like I think like half the Hajj people are still in Saudi Arabia. So I just wanted to like put that out there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. You know what? Might be a good time for some people to go there, because I bet you hotels are dirt cheap. So if you want to go there, yeah, this now's the time. Okay. Who's next?
Well, let me see how I can put it. I'm at a loss for words on this. I think I don't understand very well what's going on, and I want to apologize if I've been a bad mod, because the chat is tearing me apart on the side. I would like you later, Armin. I would like you to read this chat. Just later, when the stream is off, I want you to read everything being discussed here, because I don't understand any of it.
You're doing amazing, Sketch. You're doing amazing. You're doing amazing work, and don't let the chat get to you. Okay. I didn't know you're this good at modding. Okay, so don't let that get to you. Sorry if any you could talk to me if anybody is like abusing you or not being nice to you, because mod abuse is not violates the rules of our group. Okay.
I think I misunderstood something, and I'm just saying, look, if I misunderstand something, just tell me. I make mistakes. That's a given. We're human.
You're doing great. You're doing fantastic. You're doing fantastic. I support you 100%. Okay, don't let anybody get to you. I don't know what's going on in the chat at all because I'm not following that, but you're doing amazing. You're doing great. Okay. You want to?
Jeffrey had a 2 in the chat. Maybe he can speak on this.
Yes, Jeff.
Oh, I was just going to put it out there. People are abusing men. I would love to be abused. So, I mean, feel free to send me nasty shit in my PM or spit in my mouth, step on my cubes. I'm there. I don't know what happened when I went away. I'm more than happy, though, to take one for the team.
Oh, that's so sweet. I appreciate you, Jeffrey. You're a great guy. Thank you.
And Sketch,
all
if
right,
anybody, if you have complaints over anybody, just let me know. Okay, we'll take care of it. Okay, but who's next?
No complaints. I'm just trying to re-examine if I did something wrong. I'm trying to see if I can work this out.
Yes, and people in the chat are supporting YouTube chat are supporting you as well. And we got a lot of super chats, by the way, all of a sudden. Thank you guys. And also, Sarah is telling Jeffrey that what he said was kinky. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So what are we doing? Are we moving? Yeah.
I thought you said super chats.
Okay, super chats.
Would you like to read them?
Yes, yes. All right. So Texas started off us with like, and then after her, we got a whole bunch of super chats. So thank you, Texas Troop, for getting it started. Saying no super chats, let's fix that. Well, you did right after you. We got so many. So thank you, Texas. I appreciate that. And then we got thank you, by the way, Texas. You're not just a super chat, because you're always in the chat, always there. You're a great mod. So thank you for always being here. I appreciate you. And then Iranian Viking gave us a super chat saying, I agree with Texas Troop. We need more super chats. Javid Shah Payande Iran. Istadem to Payan. Yeah. Oh. Istadem to Payan, guys, means like we'll stand until the very end. Thank you, Iranian Viking. And then Fleshy Interloper gave us a super chat saying, Vahidi faction flexing. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. Like, I think that maybe all the attacks on the countries, Arab countries around the Persian Gulf, is because maybe you're actually Flesh Interloper. That's a great observation. Maybe there was a sense between Vahidi and Jafari that Ghalibaf and Mujtaba were getting close to an agreement with President Trump, and they're thinking, well, let's fuck that up. And this is another reason why it makes it very difficult for the Islamic Republic to come up with any agreement with President Trump. That's a very good point, Flesh Interloper. It might be that. It might be that. Good observation. I'm proud of you. And then PJ with a super chat. Thank you so much, PJ, saying, I like the conversation, you all. Okay, guys, look at that. PJ from YouTube is saying this conversation is very helpful. Thank you, PJ. Yeah, glad you're enjoying it. And then we have Dominic with a super chat saying, only homegrown in office in Japanese politics. Only homegrown. Oh, in politics, only homegrown in office in Japanese politics. Well, that's a good thing, I think, mostly. Yes. Maybe they should try to keep it like that. And then we got the last super chat by UV. Thank you, guys, bringing us to 9. Wow, thank you. UV is saying, Yuval. Oh, it's Yuval. Hey, Yuval. LOL, they can go to a hotel there and experience both the Persian Gulf and Israel at the same time. Yes. I would actually, if I was traveling, if I didn't have my anti-Islam activism, I would travel to Dubai right now. I would this is the cheapest time, and maybe I get to see some boom booms. War tourism is a thing. I know the chances of it hitting me is very, very low, and the chances of me seeing something interesting is actually very high. And the hotel prices would be low, and I would get to, record something interesting in the sky. And we got confetti, guys. We got confetti because we got another super chat by Fleshy Interloper saying, protect the mods. Protect the mods at all costs. Yes, protect Sketch. Thank you so much, Fleshy Interloper. And also super chat from another one from Fun Son saying, super chat, LOL. Thank you, guys. You guys are sweet. And I didn't think actually today we're going to reach our goal, but we did. You guys are amazing. All right. Sketch, what's the next topic?
All right. The next topic was from Daniel, but I don't see him here. It was blocking arms from Ukraine as the most effective way to get cheap anti-drone tech. I don't know if anyone is trying to block arms from Ukraine to getting to Israel or anywhere. I believe this was his topic. I want to give him a chance to chime in if he's still here. Going once, going twice. Okay, he might have had to leave for some reason. We understand that. Yes. The next topic is Kremlin warns Putin about further stretching military budget could risk Russian industries. if I'm not mistaken, Michael, this was your topic?
Yeah, exactly. Long story short, I'm just going to summarize this real quick. So the Russian Federation has already gone on spending 28 billion US dollars. It had seeked to spend that money within the next couple months, but they decided to just use it right away. And they're risking, in worst case scenario, wasting around 40 billion US dollars. That's what Russia is hypothesizing right now. But in case that fails, they also have allocated a mere 238 billion US dollar budget in case all hell breaks loose, which technically that's basically spending 40% of Russia's like budget like overall. Because right now the finance minister and also Russian politicians are against the increase in the military budget. But you have Vladimir Putin and senior military officials who are for stretching the military budget.
I mean, but do people actually get decisions in Russia, or is it just
Nope.
all like, okay, so this is just Putin's call? So why, like, so this is all fake discussions?
Well, they basically have warned him the consequences of increasing the military budget, meaning that they're not going to have enough money to allocate to other industries of the economy within the Russian Federation. So there's a big risk there. But Putin doesn't seem to care, from what I understand.
Okay, interesting. I'm gonna look up some data on this, but I see some twos in the chat.
It's from the Kiev Post. You can, there's, if you look up Kremlin warns Putin about, what's it called, increasing military budget, and you'll see it from the Kiev Post.
Okay. Before we go to the twos, what's your prediction? Like, is he gonna stop the war, or is he just gonna keep going?
My prediction is Putin's going to go down, just like what happened in the fall of the USSR. The oligarchs and maybe some Russian politicians will team up and try to oust this guy.
Mhm.
The other direction that it can go is he might keep up with this war rhetoric, and he just might go fully bankrupt, and the people will probably protest and try and get him out. That's my prediction.
Yeah, because my understanding is that he can't even stop the war because now his entire economy is war economy. So if he stops the war, everything will start breaking apart. So he's like basically stuck in it. But that's my understanding. All right, let's see what others have to say.
All right, next to reply is Jose.
About a month and a half ago, Armin, I think I told the entire chat that look for the oligarchs and that Putin's days are numbered. And thank you, Michael, for finding that, because that just verifies what I was saying before. I don't think we'll be worried about Vladimir Putin by the end of this year. That's all.
Wow. Okay. All right. Who's next?
Next on this topic is Jeff.
Yeah, so there's definitely fragmentation within the higher, I don't know, oligarch class of within Russia. I mean, there's a reason Putin killed a lot of those people, like defenestrated them or threw them out windows and gave them polonium 210 milkshakes. What do you have? You have kind of a elite division that's, as the war is going on in Ukraine, is really taking the fight back to Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state and all of the other crazy pro-Soviet hardliners out of fucking St. Petersburg. You have a kind of a schism between the fiscal realists and the, rebuild the Soviet Union hawks inside Putin's own inner circle. How far can this tension go before it affects decision making? That's already affecting it. I mean, you had even Prigozhin, and he was a vile guy. There's a reason he did his march on Moscow. Russia can sustain high spending for a while, or it could, thanks to the oil and gas revenues. That said, it's very much overheated. You have inflation, labor shortages, because Putin like cannibalized everybody who was trying to keep this fucked up infrastructure that was left over from the Soviet era of the Cold War. The sanctions have been biting into his stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of shit that's going on. So, kind of what the quick numbers say, the military and security spending now dominates the budget in Russia like never before in post-Soviet Russia. Like the finance officials are sounding alarms because it's starting to eat into like their productive base and everything else. So, I mean, like that division is real. Putin is very much concerned about like a palace coup, very much so, and he should be. You know, being that he's an evil, stupid fucker that put the world in jeopardy for this weird Don Quixote-esque fucking fantasy of his. My apologies to Latinos, right? Because at least Don Quixote was a lovable guy.
Or someone else can go and replies, and maybe Jeffrey, I think, can attest to this. But Ukraine has also attacked around 26 or 28 out of 40 something refineries that the Russian Federation has in works for generating the country's revenue.
All right. Next to reply on this is Miguel.
Well, to even make matters worse, I just saw this from Enforcer News that not only St. Petersburg has been attacked, but the Russian Navy has also one of the other ships has been destroyed as well. The Russian Putin's ambition of being a Soviet superpower is pretty much a fantasy. Their navy is basically almost damn a joke at this point. And their most powerful warship they used to have was the Admiral Kuznetsov, which was a aircraft carrier that was barely that had pretty much band-aids and duct tape to put it together. And it was running on Mizzou oil. I mean, the thing smoked harder than a chain smoker. And it finally gave up. They finally gave up trying to fix this old junker, and they're finally going to scrap it. And the thing is that it pretty much shows that his decisions that he has made, hedging his bet, thinking that he was able to take Kiev within a short amount of time, has completely biting him back. And Ukraine has learned their lesson from the war, and now they're basically going on the offense against the Russians harder than ever. In their oil fields, even though we have the sanction waivers, their oil fields have been attacked viciously by the Ukrainian drones. So, like, they're really rationing the fuel in Crimea is now hitting Moscow as well. The fuel rationing. I think Putin is definitely seeing that his country is going belly up pretty quicker than ever, and it's probably going to happen way sooner than he expected. People are going to be pissed. The oligarchs are going to be pissed because they try to keep this country together, and he's basically just sabotaging it in every way possible. And I think they're going to end up having him ousted, probably even executed for his actions or so. That's why he's so scared to end this war. He can't end it because his head is on the line.
Okay. Is it my turn? I'm going to give you some data.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, guys, here's the data that I have. So, Russia is suffering economically while massive military spending keeps the broader economy from collapsing. On paper, the civilian sector and everyday citizens are feeling severe financial pain. So, here's a quick breakdown. Stalling growth, the IMF forecasts a sluggish 1.1 GDP growth for 2026, and official Russian data showed the economy actually contracted by roughly 0.3% in the first quarter of the year. We have infrastructure damage. Recent Ukrainian drone strikes on Russian oil refineries have disabled roughly a quarter of their refining capacity, threatening the most their most vital revenue stream. And then we have crushing inflation, sanctions, a weekend ruble, ruble, the currency, a heavy state spending, state spending have driven up the cost of living. To fight this, the central bank has kept interest rates painfully high, choking everyday businesses. And we have labor shortages, military conscription, and mass exodus of professionals since the war began have left factories and businesses desperate for workers. So we have, this is what I said, the war economy illusion, massive state spending on defense and weapons manufacturing creates an artificial boost to the GDP, to total GDP, masking the decline in civilian economy. So imagine what the GDP number would look like if they didn't have all of this war spending, right? And then we have pivoting exports blocked from European markets. Russia has successfully, this is the part that is working for them, rerouted huge volumes of oil and gas to new buyers, primarily China and India. So the bottom line is that the Kremlin is keeping its war machine heavily funded, but the non-military economy is slowly buckling under the weight of sanctions, inflation, and massive labor drain. Do you want to give you an update regarding how the war is going? So we have a gridlock. So the front lines are mostly static. There are no massive territorial breakthroughs for either side. However, Ukraine has a new strategy facing frontline pressure. Ukraine is focusing heavily on long-range drone strikes deep into Russian territory to cripple oil refineries and war funding, and that has worked very well for them. So what is the Russian strategy? Russia is exploiting Ukrainian air defense shortages, relentlessly bombing energy grids and slowly grinding forward to capture small eastern villages. But I heard that by the rate that they're going forward, if the Russia wants to achieve its goals, even to get the parts that they want to, it's going to take like 70 years or something. If by this rate that they're going, it's crazy. And then we have the toll. Casualties for both sides are staggering, with no immediate end to fighting in sight. And it's crazy when you look at the number of casualties on both sides. So Ukraine is successfully surviving and bleeding Russia's military, but they are not currently winning back all the occupied territory. So that's the summary of where we are at between Russia and Ukraine.
All right. I had one last comment on this, if I may.
Yes, of course.
My thoughts on this are Russia was basically a gas station that also sells guns. Like, if you're going to break it down to Walmart American, that was their economy, their big gas station. Now, what the Ukraine is doing is you take 25% of those gas station refineries and blow them up. It's devastating to their economy. What Ukraine is doing is allowing for the lifting of sanctions to not actually benefit their military, right? It's going to benefit a little bit, but their military spending is basically just, printing more money. It's inflationary, right? If you're just printing money to pay for things that the government is buying, this inflation is not going to loans to private businesses so they can have their trade and they determine the wealth of whatever's being traded. That's more like economic growth and trade and creating new businesses. These are businesses and manufacturers owned by Putin's criminal spy oligarchy, right? Their criminal network, right? The Russians are suffering. The Russians are having their internet turned off. The Russians are starting to get angry. Like, there's not just problems with the economy. There's problems with payment. There's problems with getting your money out of the bank at the ground level. There's news about this kind of thing. There's a lot of little things going in the background that spell trouble at home. Now, because Putin has a gang of spy friends that took over these big companies, if that gang of spy friends thinks, hey, first of all, you can't leave without a win in Ukraine because that'll affect our economy. Second of all, we sell guns. If our guns don't work, and they're not working in Ukraine, they're not working against Ukraine, they're not working in Iran, they're not working anywhere where we put these guns, that lowers our gun sales. So they have two economic problems. They can't sell oil because Ukraine is blowing up their gas stations, basically their refineries, and they can't sell weapons because their weapons suck, right? So that's devastating their economy. They're making a lot of weapons, but they're not selling them. It's just another expenditure on the war front because all these brand new weapons are just getting blown up by Ukraine. So this is a double whammy. They have problems with the economy on gas and weapons. Go ahead.
Also, you're right on point, Sketch. They're having a hard time paying many employees from different sectors of the economy. Right now, what the employers are doing is basically borrowing all this money that they know they have to owe, but that's going to run out too. And how are they else going to pay the employees? It'll be like the Soviet Union when you had people working at these jobs that they didn't get paid for. And so also Russia is losing influence on Armenia. Armenia is getting closer to the EU. As a matter of fact, they're going to have a referendum to join the EU.
There's a lot of problems with their influence and gas and economics because of their weapons suck. Their gas is getting cut into pieces, and their policies are just terrible. So that's the bigger picture. Criminal spy, Putin's criminal spy oligarchs, they want to stay in power, but they know if they declare a loss or if they withdraw without a win, that's going to be devastating for their weapons industry. It's going to be devastating for everything else. If they were smart, they'd say, screw it. It's better. This is a cost-sunk fallacy. We have to just forget about this loss, take it as a loss, and go develop some other stuff. Let the people create. Let the people in their markets have other things that we produce. But they're stuck on war, and that's been devastating for them.
I mean, to be fair to them, it's not that easy to just pivot. It's really, especially if you have a command economy. Also, but you say, Sketch, has reminded me of something. This is basically the opposite of the Israel effect for United States, because when their weapons are used, people become less interested in buying them because they see their performance, and Israel constantly demonstrating to the world how good American weapons are is basically the best marketing for American weapons.
I would add Ukraine, that their economy has gone from we need help to we sell drones. That ability to shift rapidly, which Ukraine did, and have competing companies in Ukraine try to make different drones and have them being able to market that externally has also helped. They don't have such a command economy, so they have a different competing drone manufacturers, which are getting great popularity because of their effect.
We need to at some point talk about how advanced and crazy the drone manufacturing in Ukraine is, because what I saw was that they have this, it's not just the drones, it's also the system that they all operate on. So for example, when you buy a drone from Ukraine, while it's operating in the battlefield, is giving back data to the system that they have created. And based on how they operate and whatever flaws they have, the Ukrainians are manufacturing a new model of that drone based on what it did well and what it didn't well, just getting fed into that system as they're observing how it operates, how well it does in the field. And all of that is being done automatically with AI. And they just have created the system. It's crazy. And the AI and everything that they have, and not just AI, but people as well, they're coming up with the most craziest solutions, for example, for stuff that nobody would even consider. And it just works based on the live feedback that it's getting, and it's basically trying out everything. In fact, there was I know this sounds crazy, but there was one drone that they started making, and they just had and I know this sounds like insane, but it had like a fishing rod attached to it. And it was just, I don't know why. Jeffrey, if you could tell us why they were attacking fishing rods to drones, but it was just like they tried it and it worked, and now they had fishing rods on their drones. So okay, Jeffrey, you want to explain all of this to us?
To respond,
Oh,
Next to respond, we have
Oh,
Jeff,
next-
which I think is most appropriate.
Oh,
Yes,
but so yeah, the fishing rod in the back of the drone, like the fishing reel, was to reel out fiber optics to offset the fact that Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state bumped up its electronic warfare and jamming game to try and offset the fact that Ukrainian defense forces were obliterating all their conventional military with 500-hour quadcopter drones. So, I mean, that's why they did that. You're not wrong. Like, Ukraine has not only shown its like gallantry and heroism on the front lines, they are indeed Europe's Sparta. They have shown a almost singularly heightened level and ability to innovate under duress. I mean, it's fucking crazy. They're very good at what they do. And it's also why it's really good that President Zelensky and Ukrainians are helping out Iranian resistance.
Yes.
Right? Slava Ukraini, Javi Shah.
Slava Ukraini.
Mhm.
Javich.
All right, we have our last topic, unless you want to go over some super chats.
Yes, for some reason we got 5 super chats. I thought today we're not going to be able to get our goal, but we are like, I think, doubled our goal today. Holy crap. Thank you, guys. So Iranian Vikings are saying again, oh no, this is new. Mods lives matter. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate our mods. MLM. We're going to do MLM from now on in our community, means Mods lives matter. And thank you, Rainer Viking. And then we have Amir with another super chat saying, "Sketch doing great. Don't be too harsh on yourself. We are all humans. This community really got real bright stars within it." Oh, Amir, you always say the most supportive things. Thank you, Amir. And he's here. He's in the discussion group chat and the YouTube chat. He's everywhere. Thank you. And then we have another super chat by Bobcat. It's a super sticker, just at $20, just a super sticker with no comment. Thank you, Bobcat, for supporting us. I appreciate that. And then we have Roman Viking. Thank you so much, saying Russia tries to sell their nuclear reactors globally. Yeah, yep, I think so. Yeah, I mean they said they did that with in Bushehr in Iran. That comes from Russia. So yeah, and thank you for the super chat. And then Fleshy Interloper, thank you so much for the super chat, saying Ukrainian drone swarms need very few soldiers. Yes, they're also the most cost efficient ones, to make. Ukrainian drone. It's interesting that I don't think Putin saw this coming at all. Not only this became like, guys, this shows that the systems that you have are so important. This is basically the superiority and the agility of a model that is free, that is basically reacts to the environment because it doesn't have its hands tied, compared to the command structure from the top down of Putin and the CCP. This is basically, the Ukrainians being able to resist Putin is kind of the superiority of capitalism over communism, right? Because it's free. It's a free system compared to their closed, strict, restricted system. What I think is giving Ukrainian the strength is liberty. Hence it's liberty. It's liberty that makes Ukrainians so stronger, and hence the name of our group. Liberty Politics. And thank you, Fleshy Interloper, for the super chat. All right, so who's next? What's the next topic?
The next topic is the ethics of private property from Samantha. I thought this would be good for closing out. I think maybe you'll be the only one with time to reply, but you can be the most loving and brotherly, so that would be best.
Okay, ethics of private. Somehow, I think we're going to be hearing about toothbrushes at some point in this discussion. No? Okay, no, okay. All right. So ethics of private property. Let's hear it.
Okay, I'm scared, so just keep that in mind.
Okay, before
so like,
if you're scared, let me calm you down. Okay, we love you here, and our disagreements, no matter how big they are is never going to make us turn against you or be mad at you. Okay. And we appreciate you, and we appreciate everything you have done to reevaluate your views. Okay. And nothing is going to change us appreciating you for that. Okay. So go ahead.
Okay, so like I feel like the common argument I always hear from capitalists is that communists want to like make sure the pie is like evenly distributed, while as like capitalists feel like they're on a mission to like make the pie bigger, right? Does that make sense?
That's part of it. That's part of it.
Okay. So like wouldn't you agree that for certain things, like there's only so much, like certain things you can't make more of. Like there's only so much like surface on the earth. So like I would argue land is something that, you know, that's a finite resource. There's only so much that can go around. We can't make more of it.
You can make land more productive. You can make the same amount of land produce more things. Okay. And you also you don't need infinite land, because you could go up and you could go down, right? A lot. There's no limit to how up you could go. Okay. And most of the land on earth is not used yet. And I think before we even get to the point that we're using most of it, we're going to be in space. We're going to be building towers. We're going to have floating cities, Samantha. So we don't have to worry about, there's so much under that we could dig deep, go under, and there's no limit to how big our towers could go. So given all of that, I don't think that's a limitation.
But like, don't you think like there's still a limit though onto like the actual Earth surface? Like the circumference of the Earth is the circumference of the Earth.
But as we progress, we're going to need less and less space, because we're going to be more productive. I think Samantha, the main restriction is not land. The main restriction is energy and intelligence. Okay, these are the restrictions. If you need land to create for energy. Okay, so if you look at it, all resources eventually come down to these two. Okay, I mean, to be more accurate, it's not energy, it's entropy, but okay, I'm not going to get too nerdy with that. Okay, but the main two things that are every resource at the end of the day comes to energy and intelligence. Like we need land to grow food, so that's energy. Okay, we need humans because they have brains, and their brains carries intelligence, right? So humans are carriers of both energy and intelligence. Their muscles are carriers. The food that they eat gives them energy to move things around, and their brain is intelligence. But at the end of the day, all resources come down to these two things, energy and intelligence. And we're not going to run out of energy, because we're going to find new ways to basically get access to energy, right? And with intelligence, you could see that with AI and stuff, we're not going to run out of that. There's nothing stopping us. Like there is unlimited growth available to us.
Okay, but like, can you agree that it would be absurd for like one person to be allowed to privately own the entire Earth's surface?
Yes.
Okay, so you do agree then by default that like there's a limit, that there should at the very least be a maximal limit to how much of the Earth's surface any given person should be allowed to own.
Yeah, but I think you're like Earth's surface is yeah, I mean, of course, yes, but I think you're focusing on the wrong resource. I know communists really focus on land a lot, but yes. But the thing is that you don't need okay, so here's the thing though. I completely agree with you that that's ridiculous. But honestly, if you just let people compete and you give people liberty, that will never happen. You don't need laws to stop that from happening. If you just protect people's safety and you stop fraud and you stop violence and you protect people and you allow them to compete and you give them liberty, that scenario will never come about. You don't need to actually put a law.
I mean,
yeah.
How do you know for a fact that that scenario could never come about?
These types of scenarios did come about when Stalin controlled most of Russia and giving one person most of power is most of the power and control is something that happens far more often in communist countries than in capitalist countries. Capitalists are the ones that let people trade. So if you don't want to own this much land, you sell it. We also have laws against monopolies. Stalin doesn't, Mao doesn't. Like the
Right.
communist countries have the most centralized control. So if you are against one person owning everything, you should be against communism. Also, this negates the technology increases. This is something called the Simon Ehrlich wager. I like to say Malthusians will never win the Simon Ehrlich wager. There was a bet that say, oh, there's too much humans, we're going to run out of grain. This is from the 30s. We're going to run out of grains. So, land is going to be super expensive and blah, blah, blah. So this guy, Simon, had a little bit of a wager. This is called the Simon Ehrlich wager. It's like, okay, if you're so sure about this devastation and that we're going to have too many humans and there's not enough resources, let's put a bet in the market. Now, the communist side of this lost because of technology.
Sketch, you are so on point. I just wanted to go a little bit slower with Samantha, but everything you're saying is so on point. And I think you guys, after I leave, you guys could continue this discussion. But one point that Sketch brought up, which is so on point.
Continue the conversation without Armin.
Okay. So Samantha, just one point that Sketch brought up that I want to communicate with you and ask you what you think about it, is that obviously there's no guarantee to stop stopping anything. There's no guarantee for sure, right? Like you say, how would you guarantee this? I can't guarantee anything, okay? But as Sketch pointed out, capitalism is obsessed with breaking monopolies, right? So capitalism is not about no government. Capitalism wants government, okay? Capitalism wants laws. Capitalism wants limitations on corporations, okay? And one of the most biggest things that capitalism obsesses over when it comes to the laws that they want from the government is for the government to stop monopolies and break monopolies, right? So if you don't want one entity to own everything, I think, well, capitalism obsession with breaking monopolies, because capitalism wants competition, and capitalism thinks that if there are monopolies, that reduces competition. So it doesn't want to allow monopolies, right? So, and also, as Sketch pointed out perfectly, is that if you are terrified of an entity owning too many, like unnaturally owning so many things, the best way to do that is by government intervention. You have to force this upon a society. You need a centralized authority that is making economic decision for society to be able to unnaturally produce that. And that's why we think, okay, maybe we're wrong, maybe we're not, okay, we think that your nightmare is more likely possible under a communistic state rather than a capitalistic state. And you don't, and before you get scared about saying, like, about what I'm saying, what we're saying to you is not something you need to agree with, okay? You could just see in your mind, you're just basically seeing our perspective. You're not agreeing with it, okay? But now you have a better understanding of what our maybe wrong perspectives are, okay? That's how you could look at it. Good? Do you feel good? Like, do you feel scared about this conversation, or did we make it comfortable enough for you to consider this?
This was good.
Okay, great.
I would also like to point out that among us, well, not like the game, but like with us, you will have a much better chance to be among more loving people, to have that view and have this disagreement. If you were to have this disagreement or have another point of view among more communistic, more Marxist circles, you would be shunned, you would get doxxed, you would get put on a list, they would try to get you fired, they would call you work, they would try to do horrible things to you. And as much as we disagree with you, we wish no harm on you. We have nothing but love and support for you, even though we would like to, because you know what? Real capitalism has never been tried, right? We all have a little bit of a mixed system. So we're not completely against some of your views. on these things. We just believe in different methods. But among with us, you're going to have a more loving, respectful, and safe way to disagree than with those people.
I appreciate you saying that. Okay, guys, I'm 7 minutes late, and Samantha, I'm so glad that you brought that up. I'm so proud of you for bringing up topics that you were used to be scared about bringing up. Really proud. That's really brave of you. I'm, I know it's difficult coming from where you came, and I hope we did a good job in trying to make you as comfortable as we could have. Okay, and if we didn't, we tried our best. Okay, so this is. Let us know if you have any feedback for us if we ever go too far. Okay. All right. And before we go, by the way, for people in YouTube chat, if you because people are wondering like, why are we talking about this topic like this? Samantha had a really bad experience with the communist club that communist cult that she used to be in, and she's recovering from that cult. Okay. And we are proud of her that she managed to. It's not easy getting out of those cults and changing her opinion. And Samantha is, we admire her, the fact that she did that. And also, just one last super chat, guys, before I go. Locomotion is saying, I nominate Jeffrey to be the U.S. representative on Liberty Politics. Thank you all for all you do. Thank you. Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, we will be proud of that if he accepts. I mean, I don't know, because he's already the general of Liberty Politics. I don't know. Can he take another role as well? Okay, sure. I mean, why not? Okay.
I'm the Rubio of Liberty Politics.
All right. Okay, that's great. Oh my God. I love our community. This is so much fun. All right, guys.
I'd also like to point out that aside from super chats, you can support Armin on Liberty on his school. I think that has the least amount of taxation cut that the company takes. Right, if I'm not mistaken, YouTube takes like a 30% cut or something. And if you want to support Armin, that's a good place to go. And you could come here and talk to us.
Yeah, guys, come to our discussion group and talk to the rest of the people here. Thank you for reminding everybody of that. I'll put the link one more time in the chat. Guys, we should have this kind of like friendly chit chats. Sometimes, not just the topics that you introduce. Sometimes you could make them just fun, because we're not just trying to be serious all the time. We're trying to build like a friendly environment as well. So I like that when we do that. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna head out. I'm already late. So yeah, I'm Israel Chai.
Thanks, Arvin.
Bye, guys. I'm Israel Chai. Slava Ukrainian. Long live America. Javid Shah. Payandeira. See you guys same time tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Jabba. Bye.